I'm going to give you the financial game plan, but I actually want to address motivation first because I want you to understand what's happening right here. You were taught in school a certain way. Who remembers K through 12? You guys remember this? You're sitting in a classroom with about this many people. There's one teacher, there's 30 students, and you're taught to talk out of control over each other with like 42 feet voices. Yes? No, what were you told? Shut up, raise your hand, and if you ask to go to the bathroom, the answer will not always be yes. I peed my pants in 2nd grade because I was scared to ask the teacher. True story. Tried to walk that off during recess, like, so schooling, by the way, schooling is a great way to train you to be a part of a system. And how many of you get that that doesn't really fit who you feel you were meant to be on this planet? I'm doing a brief pause on the podcast to share with you the number one question that I've been asked for the last 20 years. Ever since I became a millionaire in the game of real estate, people love to ask, Kris, what would you do if you were me? And so I invented this thing called financial game plans. And what I basically do is I ask you a whole bunch of questions, find out your job, your income, your whatever, how you've been stashing cash, or whether you're deeply in debt. And then I basically say, cool, I wake up as you, and if I want to become a multimillionaire, what choices am I going to make different than you? Well, guess what? If you're curious of knowing what that might look like, you can click the link down below and request a free game plan. I've trained a massive staff of superstars that know exactly what I would do because everything I do is a system. So if you want to know how to build the most wealth, click the link below and request a free game plan. Get a multimillionaire's perspective, and who knows? We might be partnering up on business, real estate, or some sort of other wealth creation where we end up doing it together. Click the link. I'll see you there. Okay, so let's just talk about how we're going to have and share this training experience together. Because Josh used a special phrase. It's called show up. What is it?
Show up.
And you need to have a training on how you show up. Because when you knock on that door, what's it feel like when the person does not want to reciprocate? What's it like knocking on a door and having someone blow you off? Be honest, shout it out on the count of 3. What's that feel like? Yeah. So by the way, here's what a weak mind does. I knock on a door, I start my day ready, I go to the gym, I'm excited, I'm pumped up, I got some food in my belly, I knock on the door, the person blows me off. And because I got blown off, how do I feel? Good or bad? Bad. Second door does the same thing. Now do I feel just as bad or a little bit worse? On the 10th door of rejection, how do you feel? Where's your motivation? Gone. Yeah. Welcome to being an average, weak human being. Human beings are weak because they allow other people's responses determine their energy. And that's weak. You will never meet your potential if you'll allow a rejection, someone else's unwillingness to be teachable or to hear you out, or them having a bad day. If you allow other people's energy to impact your energy, you're a weak, unconscious human being, and you'll never make more than a small fraction of what's possible with an opportunity like Elite. How many of you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Is it true or false what I just said? True. How many of you know it? Is it a little uncomfortable? Is this conversation a little uncomfortable? Hello?
Yes.
Why?
Because I'm a weak human.
It's because, by the way, you're not weak. You have the power to act weak. Do you see the difference?
Yes.
You yourself are not weak. You can act, behave, think weak. You guys want to know what weakness looks like? Come here. No. Here, punch me in the arm. No. I said punch me in the arm. No, I said punch me in the arm. Like, come on. Okay, punch me. Oh, why did you do that?
You told me to.
Okay, now by the way, when someone comes in, by the way, pain in life, is it real? Yes or yes? Yes. Pain is real. How many of you ever stubbed your foot? Pain is real. However, what we do is we take the pain and we assign meaning to it. And what are my options right now? If he punches me hard enough, what are my choices? How can I reflect on this? I could say if I was weak, what? Well, no, it's okay. The pain is real. I could say ouch because it didn't feel good. I could respond and I could smack him in the face and escalate. What else could I do? I could laugh it off. That's not the super safest thing to do if he's actually, malicious intent. What else? I could run away, cry. What else could I do? I could dwell on it, by the way. If I dwell on it, what am I going to dwell on? Dude, I can't believe he did that to me. Can you believe he did that to me? I got to call someone. Did you see? I can't believe what he just did. But did you see what he just did to me? Dude, let's spend a lot of time talking about what just happened. I got options. So, pain is real, yes? Yes. Suffering is optional. Suffering is when you take a painful moment and you dwell on it and then you create a story around it. And if the story is negative, wow, that really sucks. People come to my world and sometimes punch me and it doesn't feel good. In that moment that I'm having that thought, can I also simultaneously have a productive, motivating thought? Yes or no? Yes. You can't. Like multitasking is a lie. You can only have a thought a day or one thought at a time. You get 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. So if I take this one moment and say, I hate people like you when you punch me like that, and then I dwell on it and I think it again and again and again, what am I actually doing as I reflect poorly on what happened? What am I losing every time I have a thought? I am losing time. And by the way, I can't be productive while I'm entertaining this thought, so I'm going to lose out on productivity. What else am I going to lose out on? Energy. By the way, when I reflect on something negative with negative energy, what happens to my motivation? Goes up or down? Hello? Up or down? Down. By the way, so where does motivation come from then? Energy comes from, first and foremost, what you choose to focus on and how you interpret what happened to you. By the way, give him a huge round of applause. Do not clap for that. Do not encourage that. That was not okay what he did. That was a real punch. I felt that one. All right, check it out. Where does motivation come from? The first thing that it comes from is it comes from your words. Your what? Words. Before you speak them, you what? Before you speak them, you think them. By the way, if you think them and you eventually speak them, then you're eventually going to what? You're going to act on them. And so if I were to give you 3 rules for how to maintain really amazing positive motivation, you should start scrutinizing the language that you use. For example, how many rejections are you going to get a day when you're knocking doors? Like a lot or a few? A lot. You're going to get a lot. So if you have a rule, every time I get a rejection, I feel a little bit upset inside. Well, multiply that by 10 rejections, and now how should you be feeling? A little upset times 10 is what? It's now a lot of upset. So by the way, if you don't know how to handle rejection, that is going to cultivate weakness where you're going to be like, man, by lunch, I don't even know if I'm up for this afternoon. This is tough stuff. And it's only because you've trained a response that is inappropriate. If you're in this job, it's inappropriate to respond to rejection negatively. If you're in this career, it is inappropriate for you to respond negatively to rejection. Let me share with you a positive response. Let's play the opposite game. How many of you know this is a numbers game? Raise your hand if you know it's a numbers game. What does that mean? It means that if I knock on X number of doors, I'm going to get a contract. So I'm going to ask, does anyone know their number roughly?
1 in 7, 1 in 10.
You're 1 in 7 or 1 in 10. Let's say that it's 1 in 10. And by the way, on your average contract, how much money are you going to put in the bank when it goes through? $10,000. Let's do a little bit of math. I've got to, by the way, Derek's really good at this. Are his numbers reasonable for him? Let's learn how much money he makes with every rejection. If I do 10 doors, it makes him how much money? 10 grand. So every rejection puts how much money in his bank? I'm just curious. If every time you got rejected, you put $1,000, like you literally opened up your phone and you saw $1,000 more in the bank account, how would you feel about rejection? Wow! Where's my segue? Let's go faster. More rejection, baby. Let's go. So check it out. One person, by the way, Derek, how do you do personally with rejection? Does it bother you? No. I know that it doesn't bother him. That's why I asked him. But be honest, those of you in your room, if sometimes the rejection bothers you, raise your hand if you get there. That's called trained weakness. You're not weak, you're training weakness. You're training what? Weakness. Because in life you don't get what you want. You get what you practice. You don't get what you want, you get what you practice. So on any door that you get rejected on, if you don't like what goes down, what you're really training is to feel less motivation, to bring less energy to the next conversation, and to bring in more limiting beliefs, just thinking the next time I'm going to do it, I'm like, oh, please don't reject me. Please don't reject me. Oh, I hope this conversation goes well. Oh no, I don't like energetically that response. I don't like the way that it's going. How many of you have done this before? So I'm going to share with you some different science as we get into the game of manifesting. You are so powerful that you're inviting people by your energy to feel a certain way. So by the way, when you're freaking game on, and you know you're crushing and you're killing it, how are you different on the next door?
Way happier.
You're way happier. Yeah, but if you've had 30 doors in a row of rejection, dude, this neighborhood sucks. I don't like this part of town. I can't believe that person just this. What happens to your energy? High or low?
Low.
I'm just curious. How many of you think that there is a correlation between your energy and your yeses? Or is it just really a game of luck? No, everyone knocks on 10 doors and gets $10,000. True or false?
False.
No, the people that suck at this game. And the people that suck at this game are training the wrong thing when they don't get what they want. Because they're cute little whiny babies. Seriously, when we were little, when we were kids, we trained that we could go through only so much rejection before we'd start to feel bad. For most human beings, the number's between 1 and 5. I'll try something one time, and if I don't get what I want, I'm out. Some people, it's 5 times. In this room, it's got to be a lot higher than that, yes?
Yeah.
By the way, the very first time you did a blitz, are you rubbing your arm for like sympathy pain for me?
No, I'm just grabbing it.
No, that's good. So first time you did a blitz, how many sales did you get?
None.
You got none. Most people would have given up. How many of you would agree? Dude, doing a blitz, but by the way, you went back, and on your second time you did a blitz, what happened?
I got 1.
You got 1, and that was enough for you to say, you know, it was only 1 sale, but that's actually a great week compared to a week in past. So then what happened? What's happening today? What's happening now?
It's been fantastic. We're doing 5 to 7 a week now.
Dude, give it up for that. That's super awesome. Awesome, brother. That's awesome. So he's got some momentum. How many of you know what that is? It's like things are going well enough that naturally I'm a little bit more positive when I do my job, and it's weird. I seem to get better results. It's almost like there's this formula that the energy I bring to the door determines a part of whether I can be successful or not. How many of you think there's truth in that? How about the rest of you? How many of you think there's truth in that?
Yeah.
I should see every hand up on this one unless I asked it in a really weird way. You are everything. By the way, can you make someone buy from you? Yes or no?
Yes. Yeah.
You absolutely cannot. Brother, I'm sorry, mind control is not real. You don't have the power to take agency away from someone. If you knock on a door, it does not guarantee, if you're the best in the world, Josh Jones, if you're the best in the world, does it mean that everyone will say yes no matter what all the time? No. So we live in a world where you can't make people say yes. So the only yeses you can get are which ones?
Ones that are waiting for you.
The ones that can, based on your potential, on how you've invested in yourself. So here we go. The first technique for increasing motivation is sucky words equal sucky results. Words are the building block of life. You walk away from the door, you don't like what they said, and you're like, that sucks. How many of you ever done that? Be honest. By the way, when you think or speak, that sucks, rate it energetically. How motivated do you feel for the next door when you say, that sucks? Here's what most people don't understand. Your words are the building blocks of life. They're the building blocks of everything. So when you use sucky language, you get to be rewarded with sucky results because you haven't learned that there's a correlation between your language and your results. Your language produces outcome. And if you use some of your time to focus on crappy language to reflect negatively on what happened, you will use that as a building block of energy for your next outcome. And if you use language negatively against yourself, then you're capable then and only of becoming a failure. How many of you ever called yourself a failure before? There's a high-performing group. I'm positive that most of you probably thought you're scared of being, how many of you are scared of being a failure and you have to perform like you want to perform, right? There's a fear of failure inside a group like this. This is why we go into performance-based opportunity, is we do not want to be a failure. So we put ourselves in a really tough situation. But the fear of failure means that it's also a possibility. And you can feed that possibility with your words. Does this make sense? All right. Words. We want our words to be what then? Do me a favor, stand up. Notes on the ground. I want you to close your eyes. And I'm going to give you some words, and all I want you to do is repeat them in your head and feel them. Hate, anger, suck, sadness, can't, too hard, this is difficult, I can't do it, failure, afraid. Now just take inventory on the energy of repeating those words to yourself. And I want you to rate your energy on a scale of 1 out of 5 with one hand in the air. 5 is, I feel amazing and great. And a 1 is, well, that was a sucky exercise. Thank you, Kris Krohn, for releasing all the motivation in my soul. So put your hand in the air, eyes open, and just give a score on how you feel right now. Put your hand up, and what's your score? I see some 1s, 2s, 3s. I see a couple of 5s. But for the most part, I would say that our average score is probably around a 1.8. Sucky feeling, yes or yes? So by the way, this is just the real world practicality that if you use language against yourself, if you lean into negative self-talk, is this going to bring out the most motivated part of you? Hello? No. So when I say, where does motivation come from? What are you learning? Part of it comes from the language that you use, the language that you think about, and the language that you describe your life with. Let's fix it real quick. Do me a favor, we got to shake off the energy. There's a special process for getting rid of bad energy so we can do a little bit of a reset. We're going to jump in the air, high as you can. You're going to take your hands, and on the way down, you're going to wiggle them down like this. Ready? Just 2 of those. Ready? Jump up high. One more time up. One more for good measure. Okay. By the way, how do you feel right now? By the way, real quick, all you did was jump up and down. Give me a different rating. How do you feel energetically on a scale of 1 to 5? What just happened? Raise your hand. Put it in the air. Now I see 3s, 4s, and 5s. By the way, why did the energy just shift? Does anyone know? I'm going to share with you. Go ahead and take a seat. Let me share with you the second thing that you can do to control your energy. And I apologize to Nick in advance for what this might mean about the segue. I love the efficiency aspect. Physiology, getting physical. The number one way to shift your energy is by releasing endorphins. You do not need to be at the gym for 3 hours to release a little bit of endorphin. Jumping up and down three times can release endorphins. Going for a 1-minute jog can release endorphins. In fact, doing anything physical. So who here has been to one of my events before? Just curious. See, I've seen some of your faces, just a couple of you here. By the way, are my events high energy or low energy? High energy or low energy? They're super high energy. I have for years done a private study on the impact of physicality. I have taken the worst part of my 3 or 4 day event and simply added physicality to it. And I've been able to consistently get it to rank as the highest energy, most impactful, most important part of the entire event. And all I did was got people to jump up and down and sit down several times, run around the room, and they will recall at the end of the event that was the most impactful part of the event. So what I want you to understand is that motion creates emotion. And motivation is an emotion, yes or yes? Yes. So just understanding, it's like, how many of you know what it feels like to feel like down and out, kind of grumpy, a little bit upset, a little pissy? How many of you know what I'm talking about? When you're pissy, do you want to go for a jog or would you rather stand still? Be honest. Stand still. Do you want to stand still or do you want to sit down? When you're pissy, when you're grumpy, do you want to stand or sit? Do you want to sit or lie down? Yes, so you want to mimic death when you don't feel motivated, right? So this second thing I'm sharing with you is, number 1, use your words responsibly. Number 2, move your body. If you're like, how many of you here privately ever suffered from sadness or depression in any way, shape, or form? If you've ever had any of that in your world, literally the moment you feel it coming on, go do 10 jumping jacks. I'm going to demonstrate it right now one more time. Everybody stand up. Give me 10 jumping jacks right now. Quick, quick, quick. 10 jumping jacks. Right now, 10 jumping jacks. Do not hit your neighbor. You got this. You can do this. 10 jumping jacks up and down. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. And stop. Pause. Breathe in. Now rate your energy with one hand in the air, 1 through 5. 5 being the best energy. Where are you at? Look around the room. Use your own eyes. Look around the room. I have anywhere between a 3 and a 5. I'm saying that we're probably averaging 4.7 right now. Give yourselves a big round of applause. So part of being a high producer means that you want to be able to control your own emotions and you want to tap into motivation. Yes or yes? Yes. So I'm just telling you right now, there's a reason why there's a corollary between people that go to the gym in the morning make more money in their life. And that's because they're physical, they're releasing endorphins, they're actually using their body to help them be a higher level performer. Does it make sense? All right, have a seat, give your neighbor a high five and say, this is good stuff. Give your other neighbor a high five, this is really good stuff. Okay, I'm gonna give you the last secret for motivation. Can I do it? Who wants to know what it is?
Me. Yeah. Me.
Hey!
I do.
I'm just gonna wait.
Okay, on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, good. The word is focus. What is it?
Focus.
Has anyone here in this room ever had a bad experience from your past? Something that when you reflect on, you're like, that sucked? Who's ever had some trauma or perceived trauma? Okay. Unfortunately, as we go through childhood, we are super good observers, horrible interpreters. And we also live in a world where there's a lot of children that don't escape childhood without abuse, emotional, physical, sexual, embarrassing moments in school, tripping in front of a group of friends, having peers reject them, feeling like they couldn't please mom or dad or they got divorced. Like you don't escape childhood without picking up some really crappy experiences. Who knows what I'm talking about? When you become an adult and they say time heals all things, that's bullcrap. Time buries things, but what happened, happened. You can't change the crappy things that happened in your life, but you can change the lesson or the take-home message that you got from it. If you've had a lot of crap go down and you reflect a lot on your past, you can get yourself feeling angry or sad. And if you practice it long enough, you're gonna feel depression. Depression is from focusing on bad things that have ever happened before. Who knows what I'm talking about? On the other hand, there are some people here that deal with a lot of anxiety. There's fear and worry about the future. And so they're in the future. Who's ever done this? Does anyone do the anxiety game? Like, will I make it? Am I gonna be there in time, right? So I'm a future guy. That's what I used to suffer from. Who are my past people that you get hung up on something that happened to you in the past? Raise your hand. You're one of the two, and here's what can happen. You can spend the majority of your day reflecting on something that happened that you didn't like, or something that you hope will happen or won't happen in the future. But in the very moment that you're thinking of your past or your future, where are you not? And do you have the ability to be productive in the past? Can you be productive in the future? You can only be powerful and productive in the what? Present. In the present. If you don't learn to control what you focus on, you can lose enormous amounts of time, which then leads to lost energy, which then leads to lost momentum. And all of a sudden, you were hoping that you would have scored 2 or 3 accounts for the week and you didn't get any. And the reality is that sometimes all 3 of these things are stacking up against us. I'm using my words to reflect on my life negatively. I'm not moving my body enough as a tool to wake up, move those endorphins, and put some positive chemistry in my body. And I'm choosing to focus on what isn't working instead of what I hope will work. This right here is what determines whether you have loads of motivation or no motivation. So right now I want you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 would be naturally you have all the motivation all the time that you could ever want. 1 would be I'm almost never motivated. You can use 2 hands on this one. Your eyes are open. And I just want you to where's your motivation naturally at for you right now in your life? Put your hands up. Where are you at? I see a 6 right here, a 9 right here, a 6, a 7, a 6, an 8, a 5. Okay, so there's a variety. Thank you. You can put your hands down. I see a variety of different numbers. I don't know if I saw a 10 in the room. Maybe there was 1 in there. It's easy, you guys. And so if you're not a 10, what needs to change based on this? I'm gonna wait for a hand on this. I'd love to talk to just a couple of you. Go ahead. First of all, give us your name.
Chaston.
Hey, Chaston.
All 3. All
Yeah, I'm just curious, how in the last week have you used words against yourself?
Someone cancels and then you start to feel like, what did I do wrong to make that customer cancel the contract?
Got it? And how have you ever leveraged focus against yourself by focusing on the wrong things?
Focusing on, well, I could say a couple of my guys kind of got down when they heard about that, but for me, I kind of flipped it as, well, let's go out and get another one. Like, too bad that they canceled. Let's get a new one. But they focused on that bad cancellation, and it kind of like slowed them up for a couple days.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing, guys. Give it up for Chasten. Awesome. Let's get another one. How many of you, like someone else here, that your motivation is not yet 10 out of 10 and you're starting to recognize why? Go ahead. What's your name?
Jared.
Hey, Jared.
So for me, it's 1 of 3. I work out every day, pretty much. If I have an active rest day, I'm playing golf. But words, for sure, they act against me.
What's your number one phrase that you say up here that you know takes your motivation down?
Angry.
Put it in a phrase.
If this happens, I'll be angry.
Yes. By the way,
I do it all the time.
does anger motivate you? No. Does it excite you? Does it make you want to like arrive early at an appointment? No, it takes you down, right? Yeah. And number 3, how do you use focus against yourself?
I'm constantly distracted and I'm not able to actually focus at all. So there's a lack of it.
Yeah. And is that an identity crisis? Like you're incapable, you're biologically built with the inability with your mind to focus, or is that a trained routine?
That's a curated process. It's something that I've grown into.
Yeah. So I want to share something with all of you right now. All 3 of these are skills. What are they?
Skills.
I don't care who you've been. The question is, what are you going to do with this information and who do you want to be? In a moment, I'm going to have you turn to your neighbor and I want you to share with each other how you've leveraged these things against yourself and what your plan is to do about it. So right now, turn to the person next to you and just go ahead and share with them what you're starting to notice about your own personal patterns and what you want to do about it. Begin.